Hello. And welcome to our scoop. Story 1. Am I wrong for telling my wife it is time she went back to work? My wife has been out of work since 2018. She had a mental breakdown during her 5th year of teaching. She has been going to therapy since. And we started marriage counseling during COVID. The reason for marriage counseling was that she thought I was pushing her too hard to go back to work before her therapist thought she was ready. I tried to explain many times that was not my intent, but realistically speaking, for me to keep up with expenses and retirement contributions, I pretty much have to take on extra shifts which sometimes clock in over 18 hours a day. And on average I have been pulling 84-hour weeks. I have been doing this since she stopped working. We recently had a fight because I had an extremely rough week. And had the conversation again about her going back to work. She opened up with the same line she always does. We do not feel it is the right time yet. She feels I have made great progress, and if I rush it I run the risk of losing it. The we being her and the therapist. I told her I really do not give a crap what her therapist has to say. And I am sick of you hiding behind her words whenever this topic comes up. She started to cry, telling me she does not like being this way either and I am belittling her due to suffering from mental health issues. I replied saying I do not intend to belittle you or not take your issues seriously. Problem is, I am running myself ragged. And what happens if I have a mental break? Do you think I will have the luxury of not working? No. I will have to push through my demons. She said her therapist warned her this would happen sooner or later. I would try to manipulate her into doing something she was not ready to do. This is when I really lost it and just let it all out. I did not say anything kind. I told her she insults me for thinking what I am doing is manipulation. I told her I am working these extra shifts so she can be home and playing BS games. I told her, during this entire time you have not even made an effort to improve on certain skills. You still can't cook to save your life. And I am sick of coming home after 12 or 18-hour days just to make us dinner. Her idea of making dinner is pretty much a pre-made meal in the oven or ordering out. Among other things. That said, she stormed out of the house crying, yelling and shouting how I am a piece of trash. And rather see myself comfortable versus her getting better. So here I am. I do not feel at the core I am wrong. And while what I said was harsh, I think it did have to be said. So, Reddit, was I in the wrong here? Update. I'm going to leave a quick update to answer and clarify what I can. I apologize if I miss something. I have been to a couple of sessions with my wife and her therapist. To be honest, it largely felt like I was getting ganged up on. My wife brought up how I was always tired. So I explained I am working harder to maintain our home. When I suggested part-time work would allow me to work less, their counter-suggestion was to cut things like saving for retirement, hold off on paying off debt, and tackle such things after my wife gets better. Then I suggest renting out the house to cover the mortgage and we downsize to an apartment. Her therapist said such a drastic change to her environment could have a negative impact on her depression and advises against such major life-changing events. During another session, she brought up how my suggestion she tries cooking to save us money so we do not order so much. She felt insulted because in terms of money coming in I am making slightly more than our combined income. And she was able to cover her expenses, so she does not understand why we are having such a hard time. I was honest. It has less to do with money per se. And more so the fact the amount of hours I have to work to maintain the income. I told her I pretty much am working 2 full-time jobs. The cooking or doing things around the house was dropped fairly quickly and became a critic on how I can't manage money since I am making more. Yet I never had issues when she was working with how she spent. More or less. Every session became about what I could do to help my wife. And I get it, her therapist has to look out for my wife and generally my concerns are small compared to my wife's. My wife is not a huge fan of our marriage counselor because she offers suggestions that go against her therapist's. My friend has also suggested I speak with a lawyer to see exactly what my options are. After reading many of the comments and thinking back on everything, I think I am going to do that. I love my wife and I know she's sick. But I am good to nobody if I keep up this pace. It was a slow morning. We only had one field call, so I was looking over the thread of comments with a colleague and close friend. After talking, I have decided to put in a request for 2 weeks vacation. During that time I am going to relax with my friends, play some Baldur's Gate 3, and also get my crap together. I'm going to speak with a lawyer to see what my options are. I was young and dumb and much of her debt is mine because I co-signed and have a joint account. I will go to the doctor for the first time in 4 years and make sure everything is still working as it should. During this time my friend said I could crash at his place. So I am going to take him up on that offer. This will be my final update here though. Going over this, I've realized that I made this post for all the wrong reasons. I do not have much in terms of a family. Both my parents passed. Something has to change. And if my wife is unable, I have to do it. I am young. I should be enjoying my life. I am not even 30 yet, as my friend said. I aged so much in these last 5 years. It is scary. My friend showed me pictures from before all this happened. I want to go back to the person I was then. I agree I was wrong for what I said. But I do not regret it. It was the wake-up call I needed.
Opinion.
In my opinion, no. You are not wrong for any of this. Your wife at this point is using you. She's essentially acting like a child. You should be able to claim her on your taxes as a dependent. I can be understanding about the whole mental illness thing. But at this point she's not doing any duties as a partner. She might have been mentally ill. What's odd is that everybody has something going on, but she has to take 5 years off of work at your expense. She's not trying to help you at all but wants you to be considerate of her situation, and she also isn't willing to compromise at all. This is not a good partner, and I'm glad that you are speaking with lawyers because this doesn't sound like a good marriage partner. Hardly a partner at all. If you keep up with this, you're basically living for her and she will be the reason for an early grave.
Story 2.
Am I wrong for refusing to help my father financially when I make over 5 times his salary? I, 31M, have a father, 52M, who has 2 other children from another woman. He always asks me for money because I am a chemical engineer that makes over $250,000 a year. Most of the time I do it. Because his asks are pretty small. But he has never had a vacation with me before. In the last 2 years, he has asked me to pay for his trips to have quality time with his other kids. This year, I asked if I could also tag along. But he said that I wouldn't fit in and it'd be awkward. This time, the trip cost over $20,000. So I said, if I'm paying for this trip, I'm tagging along. He got very annoyed and said that he had promised a father-son bonding experience for them. I asked him why he promised to do something he couldn't afford. And he said, because I know you'll pay for it. I asked him why we never had father-son bond time. And he shouted, are you gonna do it or not? I told him no. Now all of my family is saying that just because I was denied something that doesn't mean I should deny it to other people. But maybe he shouldn't have promised someone he'd do something when he couldn't afford it. I don't know. A lot of people are telling me that I am in the wrong. What do you think?
Opinion.
Personally, I think your father is using you for your money. He doesn't actually value you. Only your money. He values his other kids more. And is willing to use your money that you earned with your own hard work on making them happy while simultaneously disrespecting you. You are not wrong for denying him access to your funds after he used you multiple times and shouted at you. You worked hard for that career. And him not having enough money to pay for these things is his own fault. Keep working hard and don't let anybody manipulate you into continuously being used.